As of the recording of this segment, a hearing is currently underway in an election contest lawsuit filed by Kari Lake against Katie Hobbs and others. The judge has made a decision, reports the Conservative Brief, and they've called these individuals to set a plan in motion. Now, things are getting interesting in this regard. One, Katie Hobbs has already certified the election. It's done. However, that doesn't matter because there is a statute that still gives Kari Lake time to officially contest the election. And Kari Lake has made many allegations, made many claims in her lawsuit about what went on and why they feel they have standing to contest the results. I can give you one very simple reason, and then we'll go through the big list in the lawsuit. We'll take a look at what the judge said. The most important is that around 17,000 people were negatively impacted in Maricopa County during the Arizona election when machines failed. They were tabulator errors. Now, the official response is that no one was unable to vote. However, there's been a lot of people have said that with the long lines and the machine errors, they left the line. Witnesses have said they've seen people leave the line. What Maricopa said was that the 17,000 people who were affected were able to file their ballots by putting it in box number 3 to be counted later. But that in and of itself is enough. Kari Lake lost officially, according to the certification, by 17,000 ballots. And if 17,000 people were negatively impacted, and Kari Lake can show that, they'll at least get past, or theoretically get past, a motion to dismiss. But who knows? I'm not a lawyer and I could be wrong. My point is, it shows their standing. When it came to 2020, Donald Trump came out with a lot of lawsuits. A lot of people came out with lawsuits. And what the courts consistently said is you cannot prove that the amount of votes you're calling into question would actually change the outcome of the election. Therefore, you have no standing. Now, Trump supporters said the problem with this is that if you've got 100 lawsuits and each of them is making direct reference to 1,000 ballots. Now, of course, 1,000 ballots isn't enough. Sorry, case dismissed. But altogether, you're looking at 100,000 ballots. Now, I can't speak to the veracity of these claims. They're just claims. That's going to be for the court to decide. And YouTube's official policy is that you cannot advance claims about certain certified elections. Keep in mind, the list they provide is not exhaustive. Look, I'm not here to advance anyone's claims. I'll tell you what the news has reported and what's currently being filed in court, and then we will await those hearings to see what a judge says. How will this be adjudicated? I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I'm willing to bet there is a strong possibility it will be Hobbs who retains the governorship. I, as a big fan of Kari Lake, we've had her on the show a couple times, want to see her prove her case and win. But I don't know if the evidence is there. I don't know. All I can do is report what's currently happening, how the media is responding. Of course, they're calling Kari Lake the new Trump. They're calling her lawsuit Trumpian. I find it all so silly. But I think there's a bigger social ramification. There's social ramifications that we're going to see from this. Or I should say, there are social issues in play that are resulting in issues like this. Look, my view of elections is that the Democrats are able to get the votes through ballot harvesting and other such means. And this means you're getting low information and unlikely voters to vote. The polls are going after registered voters and likely voters, but Democrats are targeting unlikely voters in a brilliant move, in my opinion. I think it's kind of dirty. The people who should be voting are the people who want to vote, not random people who aren't paying attention. And that has a massive negative effect. But in my opinion, Trump supporters, the longest time, were blinded as to this strategy of Democrats. They were saying, how come the polling is wrong? How could this be possible? How could Biden get so many votes? Now, of course, you may say you believe there's fraud. But I think whether or not there is, the big key issue is ballot harvesting. Conservatives have taken notice of this. And because of that, things are going to change. I think because of this revelation, or this epiphany among conservatives, 2024 will get very interesting because this technique among Democrats won't pull them across the line anymore. The story goes that Orange County in California is reliably Republican. All of a sudden, it turns Democrat. Why? Ballot harvesting. Republicans figured that out, got to ballot harvesting. Boom, Republican once again. This lawsuit will be interesting. Kari Lake is making the claim that there were some 25,000 plus votes that came in after Election Day. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. Again, I'm just reporting what's in this lawsuit. We will see how the judge rules. But let me break down for you the claims that are being made and what the media is saying. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com to become a member and help support our work directly. We need your support. Go to timcast.com, click that join us button, and you will get access to the uncensored Timcast IRL portion of the show Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m., as well as our other shows, Cast Castle Vlog, Tales from the Inverted World, and more to come. I'm trying to figure out how to do a crossfire debate style show. We've been planning it for some time. We want to get people on the left, people on the right. And a lot of people think it's very difficult, nay, impossible to get leftists on the show, but lower profile individuals of leftist ideology actually are willing to come on. And so we're trying to figure out how to make that happen. We want to build that show out, and that will be a member show. With your support, we will be able to do things like that. So become a member, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the video wherever you can. Really does help out. Let's jump into that story. From Conservative Brief, judge makes massive decision in Arizona election case. Now, this is big news. And I was sitting in watching the hearing, and it was mind-numbingly, it was buffering. It was like you'd get 3 words, and then it would stutter and break. Because apparently, thousands of people are trying to hear this case to figure out what's going on. The surprising thing, the judge has actually called these individuals in to have this hearing. Now, Katie Hobbs people are saying they haven't been properly served. The plaintiffs are saying, we're going to get you those process papers. It's going to come in today. I've got a bunch of notes to go through as to what they said and where we're currently at. But I did leave the meeting because I have a schedule to record this. So there's going to be major developments after you watch this video in how this will play out. But they have about 10 days to get this to the next level. We will see. The defendants, like Hobbs and Maricopa County, are saying they will file a motion to dismiss, and it will take but a simple half hour to prove there is no merit to these cases. But let's see what Kari Lake has to say. Conservative Brief reports a judge who is overseeing the challenge to the election for Arizona governor has made a major decision. Judge Peter Thompson has ordered Republican candidate Kari Lake, Secretary of State and Governor-elect Katie Hobbs, and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors officials to appear in an emergency hearing on Tuesday. Judge Peter Thompson, in issuing the order, wrote that the court has reviewed Lake's verified statement of election contest and said the matter will be set on an accelerated basis. Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer and Board of Supervisors Chairman Bill Gates were also ordered to attend the hearing, which will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, the hearing was taking place. I think it started earlier than that, so I'm not entirely sure. They say Eastern Time, but it was currently underway. Quote, we've had 3 whistleblowers from Maricopa County reach out and say the system is seriously flawed, the Republicans said to Just the News on Monday. They were throwing out tens of thousands of signatures saying they were scribbles that in no way matched. But somewhere between there, the ballots were being completely tossed out and they got looped back into the system and counted as if they were fine. She said that around 25,000 additional ballots and early voting ballots were discovered 2 days after Election Day, and then they just showed up. It shows the whole system has serious problems, the candidate said. We believe that up to 135,000 ballots were pushed through that should not have been pushed through. We're asking a judge to let us take a look at all of the envelopes and compare signatures so that we can find out for sure how many bad, fraudulent ballots got through in that way, or basically cheating or breaking the rules. Now I want to pause there, and I'll say outright, that is a partisan legal statement. These are individuals who are making their claim as to what they believe. They believe they may be fraudulent. They believe it may be that number. Personally, I'd like to see the courts entertain this so they can try and prove it. You come out and you make a very serious claim. Here's my opinion. It's not proven. But the courts can say, okay, let's do this. You got people contesting the election results. You got people saying it's free and fair. We need to convince the people that the system is working. If it's not working, it should be called out. If it's working, it should be called out. The people who are complaining should be proven wrong if they are wrong. Otherwise, confidence shatters. I said this about 2020. Now, my view is that Democrats want confidence shattered. They want you to believe you can't win. Because then people stop voting. And that's the problem I have with the fraud narrative. No, you can win, but we've got to make sure we exhaust every legal potential and legal possibility. That's the way you do it. Look, if people go around saying elections don't work for whatever reason, then how are you going to win in the future? Ballot harvesting is the path forward, where it's legal. And if you're able to build that machine, you will win. But let's keep reading. Maricopa County spokesman Fields Mosley said that the courts are the appropriate place to handle such claims and that Maricopa's election division looks forward to sharing facts about the administration of the 2022 general election and our work to ensure every legal voter had an opportunity to cast their ballot. The Republican candidate filed the challenge on Friday and said that she believed the number of illegal votes was greater than her opponent's margin of victory, Just the News reported. It's an interesting and bold claim. Again, I'm a fan of Kari Lake. I want to see the court address it. I don't want to see any BS where the courts just say, well, there's no point, we're out of time, sorry, have a nice day. No, prove it. Okay? If Kari Lake is wrong, then she needs to be proven wrong. And I want to see it. I like her positions. I think she's a great candidate. But if she's wrong, tell the people she's wrong. Otherwise, you're going to have people who will never let it go. And that is not good for our democracy. Now, is it? I know. I know what I said. We're a constitutional republic. I get it. I'm making a point. Quote, the number of illegal votes cast in Arizona's general election on November 8th, 2022 far exceeds the 17,117 vote margin. Witnesses who were present show hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots infected the election in Maricopa County, the petition said. Again, I want to see proof. Prove it. Here's where we're currently at. Katie Hobbs certifies 2022 Arizona election in ceremony at the Capitol. And a lot of people are upset by this. Why is she certifying her own election? Well, Brian Kemp was overseeing his own election. I believe he didn't certify it. I believe he stepped down before certification for that purpose. I still don't think it's good that he oversaw his own election. And I don't think it's good that Katie Hobbs oversaw hers either. This is the point. We are in trying times right now. And if you have something like this, okay, come on. I say this to the judge, whatever. I don't live there. You don't know me. Just go through this to the best of your abilities and make sure that whatever the outcome is, the people of Arizona have confidence that an election was held and that the appropriate results were presented and certified. Because, in my opinion, it is very likely Katie Hobbs becomes the governor. I'm not a fan of Hobbs, but we don't want half of the state, it's a very, very close election, to be fractured and angry. You know what we want? Here's the appropriate result. The overwhelming majority realize whatever the issue was is adjudicated and they say, wow, I can't believe that was a result. And they begrudgingly accept it because the evidence was presented. And then the few fringe can complain about whatever happened, but we need the confidence of the people moving forward. So, seated alongside Governor Doug Ducey, Attorney General Mark Brnovich, and Arizona Supreme Court Justice Robert Brutinel, whose signatures were required on the certification documents, Hobbs thanked the about 2.6 million voters who cast ballots this year. Okay. I want to give a shout out to our good friends over at YouTube for this. The election misinformation policies. They say, content advancing false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in certain past elections to determine heads of government, or content that claims that the certified results of those elections were false. This policy applies to any past U.S. presidential election, the 2021 German federal election, the 2014, 2018, and 2022 Brazilian presidential elections. Keep in mind that this isn't a complete list. Okay, well, I have no opinions on Brazil or whatever. I will simply point this out. Yo, YouTube, you're in the wrong on this one. People need to be able to have these conversations in public. You can't just say that someone can certify results and then no one's allowed to talk about it, because there is a statute in Arizona allowing for elections to be contested. Now, where are we currently? I do not seek to advance any false claims. I seek only for the claims made to be addressed by the courts to determine to the best of their abilities whether it is true or false. In a lot of ways, all we saw was the dismissal of lawsuits on standing in past elections. This needs to be properly adjudicated. This was the Superior Court of Arizona, Maricopa County order to appear that came out recently. They say it's a telephonic appearance. It is ordered that plaintiff Kari Lake and defendants Katie Hobbs, Stephen Richer, Bill Gates, Clint Hickman, Jack Sellers, Thomas Galvin, Steve Gallardo Scott Jarrett and Maricopa County Board of Supervisors shall appear via Court Connect on December 13th at 11 a.m. for a return hearing, 50 minutes allotted, before Judge Peter A. Thompson. That's why I thought it was weird they said 2 p.m. Eastern. It was 1 p.m. Eastern. The hearing shall occur via video conference. So they say failure to appear. If only one party comes to the hearing, the court may allow that party to make arguments, and the court may make rulings without the other party's participation. If neither party comes to the hearing, the motion may be dismissed. Failure to comply with this order to appear may lead to a finding of contempt and the imposition of sanctions. It is further ordered that a true copy of this order to appear and a true copy of the motion petition and documents filed with the motion petition shall be served by the moving party on the parties who are required to appear, and a true copy of these documents shall be mailed immediately to parties who have appeared in this action in accordance with Arizona rules of civil procedure. I have a few notes that I took from listening to the hearing. It was brutal, mind you. It was absolutely brutal. The system was not working very well. Everyone's trying to listen. But I'll give you the quick notes. And then I want to show you the claims made by the plaintiff. Again, these are not definitively true statements. I want to make sure that's clear. In court proceedings, you can say basically anything you want. It doesn't mean it's true. It means these are the allegations, the accusations, and the claims brought forward by the plaintiff. They need to be addressed by the courts. There's going to be a motion to dismiss. All parties have said that. And if the judge goes through it and says, yeah, there's no standing, there's no grounds, dismissed. However, as I stated, the reason why I think this is important is that they've already said, and I have this from PBS, 17,000 ballots in Maricopa were affected. That is just about the margin of victory for Hobbs. They've also gone on to say that all of the votes were counted. However, a judge may say, well, hold on here a minute. That's how many people were affected? How many votes? What about the potential for people who weren't able to vote? I mean, that's just a general statement. There's probably people who weren't able to vote due to error. They say that's not true. The judge may say, show me evidence. The judge may say there is enough here to show a margin. The margin of victory is within the realm of, should there be evidence, it would change the results. In that case, the judge may actually say, no motion to dismiss. Let's go to an evidentiary hearing. So here's what ultimately ends up happening. Just a few quick notes. Hobbs and the defendants, these are the people being sued by Kari Lake, intend to file a motion to dismiss. The judge stated that it seems all of their positions are relatively similar. So would they accept consolidation? Meaning they can all just file. I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that they'll file a motion to dismiss on similar grounds. They've said that Thursday at noon for the motion to dismiss to defile, that'll be their time frame. I believe they said Thursday at noon. So that's when those filings will go in. They may, it may be public, I'm not sure. They will have until Saturday the 17th for a plaintiff response. That means Kari Lake can respond to their motions to dismiss. Then they can respond to her response Sunday. They requested oral arguments on Monday. And if it does not get dismissed. However, December 21st and 22nd, they may have set the hearing. Again, really difficult to hear exactly how this hearing was going down because of the buffering problems. The court said that they would send out the file to the media to go through it. Time would be split between the parties. There was from the defendants that the statute says they have a time of not later than 10 days, and it would have to be done on Monday. That's the case, blah, blah, blah. The defendants request the exhibits be placed under seal due to the private nature. However, it was argued by the plaintiff that they've already redacted personal information, so the exhibits, the evidence, should not be placed under seal. That one I found very, very interesting. If they claim to have evidence, people need to be able to see it. The defendants say, seal it, don't let anyone see this for privacy reasons. I respect privacy reasons. However, I don't know where the judge ended on that because it was buffering. Again, there may be updates because I'm recording while the hearing was still going on. But we'll see. We'll check up on that. We'll check up on that. And then perhaps we will have updates later tonight at Timcast IRL. But I want to show you this from Emerald Robinson and her what she says are 9 revelations from Kari Lake's Arizona lawsuit. And I want to stress, these are not definitive claims. OK, I want to say this. Emerald, I believe, is a lawyer, right? And I believe she does know what she's talking about. But I want to point out, having dealt with litigation, you can basically claim whatever you want. They'll then look at it. They expect there to be honesty and good faith in the claims you're making. And then if you get past a motion to dismiss, you have to present evidence. Emerald Robinson says, the first revelation, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots counted in Arizona's midterm election in Maricopa County alone. My statement here would be, I don't know if that's true. It is a claim made in a lawsuit. I would like to see them present evidence in court to attest to such claims. The judge may find that there's no merit to these claims at all and dismiss it. In the filing, they say, the eyes of the country are on Arizona. On November 30th, Rasmussen Reports published a poll of likely U.S. voters about Election Day problems. The poll asked whether responding voters agreed or disagreed with contestant Kari Lake's statement, calling the election botched, saying, this isn't about Republicans or Democrats, it's about Election Day. They found 72% of likely voters said that they agree with Kari Lake's statement, including 45 who strongly agree. Now, that is bad. We need confidence. I would like to see that if Kari Lake is wrong, it be stated definitively in court. Sorry, Kari, you're wrong. And I will stress again, I want her to win. Okay, it's my bias right there. I like Kari Lake. I don't know that her statements are true. The number of illegal votes cast in Arizona's general election on November 8th far exceeds the 17,117 vote margin between the two. What's their evidence for illegal votes? Now, this is the point. The filing shows, in their opinion, they believe certain votes were illegally cast. It doesn't mean they were. That's what the judge will have to determine, and that's what an evidentiary hearing will be for. This is their perspective. Hobbs will respond saying there were no illegal votes cast, and Kari Lake is wrong, most likely, but we'll see. They say, Kari Lake and Democrat candidate, Hobbs certified the official state canvass on December 5th, 2022. Witnesses who were present at the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center, Runback Election Services, and a multiple of Maricopa County vote centers, as well as other meticulously gathered, showed hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots infected the election in Maricopa County. What is your evidence for saying this? That's what the court is for. Now, the issue I have is I don't blame Hobbs and the defendants for trying to get, filing a motion to dismiss. That's what you do. But I want to see an evidentiary hearing because if the Kari Lake campaign is making false claims, I want to see it proven. I want the court to say, you are wrong, this is false, or if it is that case, you lied in your filings. I want to see it. I want to hear it. But if Kari Lake is right, and I really want to hear the court say it as well, I want to know the truth. And whoever won should win, whatever the case may be. Again, I will stress, there's a statute. They got 10 days. They go on to say, in addition, on Election Day, thousands of Republican voters were disenfranchised as a result of Maricopa County election officials' misconduct in connection with the widespread tabulator or printer failures at 59% of the 223 vote centers in Maricopa County. Okay, you see, now this is where you gotta understand how the legalese comes in. What we do know, and I know I'm using PBS here, but I'm using them on purpose, is that there were many problems with the tabulators. They say 60 of the 223 vote centers were printers that did not produce dark enough markings on the ballot. Some voters who tried to insert their ballots into tabulators had to wait to use other machines or were told they could leave their ballots in a drop box. Those votes were expected to be counted Wednesday. Now, full stop. I believe it would be reasonable to say if there's a long line or any line and machines aren't working, some people would leave, right? Okay, we need to account for that. We need to figure out what's going on, ask people if anything happened, were they able to vote? Did anyone get disenfranchised? I think Kari Lake needs to have her team canvass and find people. They've already put out calls for people to file paperwork about issues that they had with voting. So I believe at the very least that may come up in this court case, but we will see. So here's the point. They say election officials' misconduct. That's how legal documents work. They want to make their case and say it was misconduct. It may just be error, failure, ignorance, or otherwise. But again, that will be for the judge to decide who's actually right on this one. They say the evidence including a detailed sworn declaration by a cyber expert who, among other things, spent 9 years testing electric voting machines on behalf of the same voting systems that certified the machines in Maricopa, shows the machine failures Arizona voters experienced in Maricopa County on Election Day could not have occurred absent intentional misconduct. Bold statement. Who's a cyber expert? Again, this is why you got to get the judge in on this one. Who is this expert? They need to say this stuff in front of a judge. The judge can then adjudicate this. But a powerful claim nonetheless. Again, I want to stress this point. I am not saying Kari Lake is right or wrong. I'm saying she's stating her case. You can decide your opinions on this one. I am saying definitively it must be heard in court. That's my position on this. I don't know what's true or not. These are just claims. They say this unexplained increase in EV ballots was also reflected on the Department of State website between November 9th and November 10th. Okay, so this is, they're making the claim that Maricopa discovered 25,000 additional ballots after the election. Okay, well, I want to see the evidence for that. Those 25,000 ballots magically appear in time to help Katie Hobbs, courtesy of mysterious election contractor named Runbeck Election Services. A bold claim. Judge, please listen to the evidence and tell us what's really going on here. An employee of Runbeck has testified that early vote ballots arrived without the proper chain of custody paperwork. Now, that's a bold claim to make. A Runbeck employee observed that Maricopa County election workers delivered early vote ballots retrieved from ballot drop boxes and mail-in ballots from the Postal Service, neither of which were accompanied by any of the required chain of custody paperwork, among other things. So here's what could happen. In a motion to dismiss, they explain away or dismiss all of this or counter it. And the judge just says, okay, I'm done. We will see. I think an evidentiary hearing is extremely important in this regard. She writes, a prominent cybersecurity expert who tests voting machines for a living has provided a sworn declaration that the widespread equipment breakdown in Maricopa County must have been caused intentionally. That's the opinion of an expert. I know it doesn't stand for much. You can find experts. Look, in dealing with courts, you can bring an expert who will say basically whatever. That's a sad reality. They're going to say, number 8, Maricopa County officials like Stephen Richer were involved in serious conflicts of interest. Well, they say Richer also participated directly in propaganda and censoring program at the national level of CISA through the 2022 election cycle. For example, attached as example 3 to the Olson Declaration is a CISA memorandum regarding a meeting on March 29, 2022 that included, among others, 3 Maricopa County employees from the Recorder's Office, CISA officials, and the General Counsel for Twitter, Vijaya Gade. The memorandum states the purpose of the meeting as the purpose of the CISA committee protecting critical infrastructure and misinformation subcommittee meeting was to hear a brief from Stephen Richer, county recorder in Maricopa, AZ, on current election processes and needs among election officials and to discuss CISA's role in the MDM space. Interesting. Katie Hobbs, in her official role as Secretary of State, was busy censoring her political opponents too. In this email that came out due to a lawsuit in Missouri, Katie Hobbs' office contacts Twitter to have posts removed. So the Democrat candidate who ran the AZ election censored her political opponents, disrupted election day votes, and then threatened counties. Okay, now I can't speak to any of that. I don't know if that's true. What I can say is there was an individual, I believe it was Fincham, who was censored on Twitter. And we know now from Elon Musk that there was direct collusion between Twitter and the government. I think a judge is going to have to go through that. Look, I think either way, whatever the claims you may state, you got to have the judge go through this stuff. I'll tell you this. Here's what we're going to do. I want the judge to prove it all wrong. Prove it all wrong. Prove it all wrong. Make it go away. Judge is going to see it. Evidentiary hearing. I challenge Kari Lake to present any evidence supporting all of this and prove her case. Let's see it. Now, I'm not convinced it will actually happen. The judge, in my opinion, will likely say, there's no time for this. I don't want to stick my neck out. I'm out. That would be a problem, a major problem. Now, the media, of course, they're calling Kari Lake delusional, Trumpian, how Kari Lake was unflinchingly loyal to Trump, then her campaign unraveled. Well, that's ridiculous. According to the official certification, she lost by 17,000. That's a pretty good run for a non-politician going up against Secretary of State. All right? So, we'll see, man. We'll see how things go. The Republican Party's Donald Trump problem has a new face, Kari Lake. Okay. Look, man, I just want to say this. I'm not here to speak to the veracity of claims made in lawsuits. I'm here to speak to the fact that we have mechanisms in place for contesting elections. Let them play out. YouTube, let them play out. This is the stupidest thing about YouTube's misinformation policy. Okay? You're allowed to contest elections. There's laws in place. There's statutes in place. It's in the Constitution as to what to do in the event of election contests. If it's happening and people want to state their case, let them. And then we will sort through this and figure out what's true or not. But I'll tell you this to YouTube. When you ban these conversations, you only make people think that their side was right the whole time and you're evil and trying to manipulate and interfere with elections. Consider me know that Facebook and Twitter were regularly meeting with the government, yet you're not in a good place right now. So here's my solution. The judge go through all of this and we just sort it. Let's sort through it. And then, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I made them, I won't call it a mistake necessarily, but when Donald Trump was being investigated for the Russia stuff, I said, okay, let's do it. Let's just try and make sure everybody's got the confidence they need and we'll have an investigation. And it turned out to be all bunk and Trump's name was cleared. And they still wouldn't let go. If it comes to the election, I say the same thing. We need confidence in the system. People need to believe the system is working. Let it happen. You know what the worst case scenario is? The worst case scenario is we parse through the evidence and the person who was wrong is proven wrong. But the worst case scenario for those who want power is they don't get it. I want to see the person deserving of the power who won the election get it. I think in all likelihood it'll be Katie Hobbs. Let Kari Lake issue her contest, adjudicate it, bring it to an evidentiary hearing, and then let the judge decide. That's simple. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 8 p.m. tonight over at youtube.com/TimCastIRL. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.